All right, welcome to the Zone Live. This is playoff edition number 2. Got my guys back this week. Appreciate George Whitley and Reese Gordon filling in last week and George filling in the week before when these guys were off covering some games. Hayden Henry back to my left, Brandon Ogden to my right, and we're going to talk some playoff football here. Hayden actually will leave here and go straight to a game. We're going to jump straight in and start talking about the game out at Pine Tree Stadium tonight, Gilmer and Pittsburgh. Hayden, this is yours. What do you like about this game?
I mean, Gilmer flying high right now, but Dickie Meeks is bringing a good Pittsburgh team that I think has got better as the years progressed. It's either good or bad with them. It seems like this year, but Dickie's bringing a lot of experience with that. These teams have been playing each other since 1914. So this is 100th year of Buckeye football. So they've been a lot of history there. Gilmer leads the overall series. Can't remember the exact numbers off my head, but Gilmer has a 6-game winning streak in the second round, and Jeff Traylor coaches actually against Dickie Meeks are 6-0. So I thought that was kind of a fun fact to go along with.
Okay, should be a great game. Again, you look at it, mismatch on paper maybe. If you look at records, Pittsburgh 5-6, Gilmer 10-1, but Pittsburgh it's like Hayden said, when they're good, they're good. When they're bad, they're kind of bad. They've scored a lot of points. They scored 55 once, 54 once, including last week in a win over Wills Point. But they've also allowed 51 points 2 different times this year. So it's kind of hit or miss on them. They can score, but they can give up a lot of points, and Gilmer can put a lot of points on you pretty quick. Just some numbers real quick on this one I looked up. You want to talk about some coaching numbers. Dickie Meeks has a career record of 241, 177, and 6. And Jeff Traylor 158 and 54. So I'm not real good at math, but that's a whole lot of wins. And they both have a pair of state championships. So got some good coaching going on. Go get a chance, go out and see it. Look for Hayden's story. It'll be online fairly early tonight, probably by 11 o'clock if Hayden hustles. And look for it in the Longview News Journal tomorrow if you can't get online. Let's move on. We're going to jump a little bit. We're going to go to a Saturday game, talk a little bit Longview Lobos, and then we'll come back to some of the Friday games. But Hayden's our Lobo guy. You've been out to see John King today. What's Coach King's thoughts on this game?
It was a very weird game last week to open the playoffs. The defense was either white or black. That's what he described it. With obviously the good being Traven Howard and Warren Johnson, what they were able to do. But Lobos were held to 153 yards on the ground last week. That's the second low since I guess the season opener against Capel, where they were held to 97. So it's going to be a big key in this one, But what we talked about today was really the depth on the Lobos, and that's really what Coach King is really, most pleased with this season. And really saw that last week at the beginning of the game. It's funny, someone in the press box said, "Hey, the Lobos are back to that 4-3 defense." I was like, "Well, we'll just wait a minute." Lo and behold, we looked up 4-3. So they have the depth and all these different playmakers that are able to come in and adjust to what they're seeing, which will be something different out of McKinney Boyd, a wing T offense, something different than they hadn't seen. But, those guys like Warren Johnson, just in the past 4 games, 46 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, scooped that 1 for a touchdown last week, 2 picks, breaking up 3 passes, and leads the team with 99 tackles.
All right, this is a kid you didn't hear of before the start of the season. So.
Right.
Okay, and the depth this time of year is important, especially because if you're still playing this time of year, you're beat up. You're banged up, you're beat up, you need some breaks. So to be able to put a fresh body in there and that kid not see a big drop off, that's going to be a big key for the Lobos.
Yeah, they got to get the ball rolling on the ground, so that's going to be big. But if that doesn't happen, Desmond Chumley is really coming on strong. In the past 4 games, completed 68% of his passes, 727 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So the big thing Coach King harped on today was the turnover margin. McKinney Boyd has a plus 27 turnover margin. Lobo's not too bad at 18 themselves, so that's going to be a big key into it as well.
Okay, should be a great game. That's a 4 o'clock game Saturday at Wildcat Ram Stadium in Dallas. Again, Hayden will be at that one. Hayden's got some good games this week. He'll be at that game, and we'll have that online for you at etvarsity.com fairly early in the evening, and pick up your Sunday paper to read all about that one. Let's talk a little bit about Kilgore and Kaufman. This is a 7:30 game Friday night at Rose Stadium in Tyler. I actually got to talk to Coach Wood this week. Coach Mike Wood from Kilgore did a scholarship signing for a young lady over at Kilgore High School yesterday and just happened to talk to Coach Wood, and you know I wouldn't say nervous, but I think the best way to describe him is respectful and knowing. You know, he understands that yes, Kilgore is a favorite in this game, but you know, Kaufman just beat a very athletic, very good Liberty Ilo team. So, you know, Coach Wood, he's not going to let the Bulldogs take him lightly. Any, yeah, as far as game on this one, as far as numbers, I mean, you know, you're just looking at a Kilgore team. I love the way they play football. They run the ball first. They can throw it when they need to. You know, Aaron Foy is a weapon. You know, he's 11 catches, but 4 of those have gone for touchdowns and for 345 yards. So they can throw the ball. But their bread and butter is running the football. Kevin Justice is a little over 1,200 yards rushing, 24 touchdowns. Juju Brown's pushing 1,000 yards on the ground. And they play defense. Jake Brantley's just having a monster year at linebacker. He's actually listed him as linebacker. He's really a defensive end, Coach Wood was telling me. 89 tackles for that kid, 4 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries. It's just all around the football. And Darren Anthony is just a terror in the backfield with 9 sacks. So just a good, solid Kilgore team all the way around. And then, you know, maybe the big game that everybody's talking about, Hayden's shaking his head, Carthage and Navasota, 7:30 Friday in Corsicana. It's my understanding they blew up the scoreboard last week. The scoreboard caught on fire at Tiger Stadium in Corsicana, and it could happen again tonight with these two teams. 10-1 Carthage, 10-1 Navasota. Offense, I mean, you know, my goodness. I mean, obviously they play a little defense, but I think everybody's looking at the offensive numbers. What are your thoughts on this one, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, these are two really good teams. You know, Navasota's coming off that state championship win last year over Gilmer, and they showed in that game, you know, they held Gilmer to 3 points last year in the state championship game. So they showed they can play defense, and I'm sure they'll probably use some of that same going against Blake Bogenschutz and that Kilgore offense trying to, you know, because, you know, I mean, that Carthage offense, not and because they're, you know, Bogenschutz and Barr and those offenses are pretty similar. So, you know, Carthage has been impressive, but you know, they got their hands full this week with Navasota. Navasota's they're a state power too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, balance on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy numbers all across, over 10,400 yards combined for the two teams on offense. You know, Bogenschutz over 3,000 with 40 touchdowns. I mean, they might be playing football in Corsicana until midnight, you know, at this rate. And then, you know, last year we really got to meet Navasota's Jordan Wells. You know, and the Buckeye fans probably remember him pretty well in that state championship game. Had 10 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, and forced a fumble in that win. Since then, 138 tackles, 40 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, and has forced 4 fumbles.
And 30 quarterback hurries. So he lives in the backfield. He's in the backfield as much as their running backs are. So yeah, you got to get him blocked. I mean, that's the key. If you block him and give Blake Bogenschutz time to throw the football, he's got some tremendous weapons with Tigori and O'Keefe and Rutherford. You know, I like Carthage in this game, but I tell you, you know, if you let Navasota impose its will on defense, it could be a long night and a short season for the Bulldogs. Let's move on a little bit. Got a game at Lobo Stadium Friday night. This is Gladewater in Atlanta. You know, just great story for Gladewater. I love what they're doing. Coach Ball came over from Longview. He's taken over a Gladewater program that's kind of struggled, got them back in the playoffs. You know, just to me, I'm going to say a shocking, not really a shocking win last week against Canton, but I'm a little stunned the way they won it, 48-0 over Canton. You covered this game, so I mean, what did you see from Gladewater in that game that impressed you the most?
Well, we were talking, you know, it wasn't, like you said, so shocking that Gladewater won, but it was just the way they just came out and dominated every aspect of the game. You know, Dalen Mack on defense, he got after Chandler Island, who's had some big numbers coming in at quarterback for Canton. And the running game, James Reese, he ran for 75 yards on his first 2 carries, didn't play the rest of the game. And, you know, Justice Centers, he had been doing well all year, and he did again last week, 105 yards, 3 touchdowns. But Darnell McKnight came in, carried the ball 11 times, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So those 2 guys right there combined to pick up the load with Reese out. And, you know, Gladewater just ran all over. And if they can do that tomorrow, they already beat Atlanta this year 46-34 earlier in the year. So, you know, these 2 teams are familiar with each other. It should be a good game.
Exactly. You know, and to pitch a shutout against some of the the offenses that are out there now, I mean, that's some great defense going on there. Let's talk a little bit about White Oak Grandview. This is a a revenge game, and White Oak lost to Grandview last year in this round of the playoffs, I believe. They want that revenge, but more than anything, obviously the Roughnecks want to move on and keep it going. This is a good, solid football team, and they just destroyed East Chambers last week. Dylan Gale is having a phenomenal season. I mean, he doesn't have the passing yards that Blake Bogenschutz and Pat Mahomes, Tanner Barr have yet. He's getting close, but he's still throwing for almost 3,000. I mean, he could top 3,000 this week. The thing that jumps out to me is 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, that's just that's phenomenal. I mean, and he's thrown 266 passes, and he's thrown 2 interceptions in that. I talked to Coach Stanford a little bit. We were talking about some other issues, but he was telling me, Dylan Gale's not that big. Riley Lakin's not that big. Riley Lakin's rushed for 1,200 yards, 20 touchdowns. Jansen McCurdy's got speed. I mean, this kid, he's fast when he's standing still. I mean, he's just a phenomenal athlete. 42 catches, about 1,100 yards, 15 touchdowns. What are your thoughts on this game? I mean, again, you have to throw out the revenge a little bit, the revenge factor, but obviously the Roughnecks can't walk in there thinking nothing but revenge.
Well, and you talked about Dylan Gale, Riley Lakin, and Jansen McCurdy. Grandview, they got a big three also. Zach Smith, Jordan Martinez, and Colby Lee. Zach Smith wasn't a part of that game last year, but Jordan Martinez and Colby Lee both had big games against White Oak last year. And Grandview got up 20-6 after the first quarter. White Oak came back and tied that game at halftime, 26-26. And White Oak actually had 4 interceptions. They intercepted 4 passes and didn't throw any. So it was kind of, the fact that they lost after forcing that many turnovers was kind of surprising. So if they can force those turnovers again this year, and Dylan Gale's not going to throw many interceptions, if any, so I think he'll give him a good chance.
Exactly. I don't know. I thought I was passing out there a little bit. I guess we're not moving around enough, and the lights went off. But Hayden needs to dance a little more, I guess. Anyway, wow. Okay.
Let there be light.
Anyway, all right. Threw me off a little bit there. All right, we're kind of running out of time here. We're going to hit a couple of other games just to let you know they're out there. Tatum and Godley, 7:30 Friday in Teague. Tatum Eagles 11-0, having a great season. Again, it sounds like a repeat, for some of the other teams. Great offense, great defense. Mm-hmm. Special teams, they've got a great kicker in Dusty Richardson. So, special teams often come down to it. Can't hit on all of these. White House, Sulphur Springs, that's going to be a great matchup in 4A. Dangerfield, really kind of struggled in the first half last week and then pulled that one out, and they've been on a major roll. I mean, Dangerfield's won, looking at Brandon's previews, won 7 in a row since losing to Gilmer early in the season. So that should be fun. And we got a Saturday game, very interesting Saturday game with Wascom playing Rosebud Light.
Hugh Springs, Corrigan, that's going to be a...
Hugh Springs, Corrigan.
That may be one of the best games of the week.
Exactly. Got a lot of great games for you. Again, running a little short on time. We can't talk about all of them. We have a question. All right.
What game will be most affected by the weather this weekend?
I'd say Carthage, Navasota, out there in Corsicana.
Yeah, I think a little further west. That's
that Wascom game on Saturday in South Lake.
Yeah, that's Lobos. I'm not sure about that one. But I think anytime you're west, I think those are the games that you have to watch for. So you're looking at maybe Carthage and Navasota tomorrow night, and then the Longview game and the Wascom game on Saturday. So those. And if you talk about affecting the style of play, I think Wascom may be best suited for a game like this. All they do is like to run the football. So, if they can hold on to the ball, they're not going to have to throw it around a lot. They don't like to do that anyway. So, should be a lot of fun. But I think we're just about out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and close it down. But I want to remind you, I'm pretty certain we're not going to be here next Thursday. We'll be doing this at 5:30 on Thursday, but next Thursday's Thanksgiving. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. If we do it a day early on Wednesday, we'll let you know. Keep looking at etvarsity.com and check the Longview News Journal. We'll let you know. If we don't do it at all next week, we will be back the Thursday after Thanksgiving at 5:30. So please join us. Send us your questions. You can text us. You can Twitter us. Hit us on Facebook. We love to have your questions. But that's it for now. Enjoy your football games this weekend. Check etvarsity.com early and often. And pick up your Longview News Journal tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday to get all the high school football action you want. Thanks for joining us.